Hester Ponim, the hearts and the eyes are stopped up. We're under the Rishus of the Goyim, and we forgot that we're in the Rishus of Hashem. And that's already a beginning of a shibud. It's not that they worked, but that's already a shibud in Ruchni, says Rabbeinu Yonah. That's what it means. Now comes the second stage. Vayomos Yosef died. The second stage. So that's already like this. Like the common people in the street, the Hamonam, they knew Yosef is the leader. There's a paro up there. Good, so there's a paro, but who's running? It's like a president and a prime minister, maybe. Yosef was the prime minister. The paro, he's the president. What does he know? What does he do? We don't know anything. So they thought, oh, the Jewish people, they're a higher race. They're something special. Their man is the king of Egypt, the prime minister of Egypt. So they couldn't come and tell the Jewish people to start working, be meshabed them. But the Sarim, the great ones, the ministers, the government, they knew that Yosef is not the real leader of Egypt. Yeah, they knew that Yosef is not the real leader of Egypt. So they already started feeling that we're above the Jews. We could be meshabed the Jews. So they started feeling themselves higher than the Jews, superior to the Jewish people. They started feeling. But the common people in the street couldn't just make you Jews slaves. The Jewish people, their man is in the government. He's the leader of the government. Especially, they didn't have newspapers and radios in those days and commentators that they should go and explain that this is Yosef, he's not the real leader, it's really the paro. What do people know? So this is the second stage. That Yosef was around. Vayomos Yosef. That means that as long as Yosef was alive, so it couldn't, the common people couldn't be meshabed the Jewish people because they knew there's a Yosef. Yosef died. So then already there was the Egyptians thought to themselves, oh, their man is not here anymore. Now we could put them into slavery. But that's only the way the cheshbonos of politics, what people think. But there's also schusim. The 12 Shvatim are still alive, or the 11 Shvatim, better say, are still alive. And there's Chus, the tzaddikim of the door, are still here. So that was Megan. That means to say that here already, we were in Sakona already. Once Yosef died, so politically, we don't have Koach. So we're in Sakona. We were in Sakona already. We're on the verge of Shibud. But still, there were tzaddikim that were the shvatim that their schus was making. But that's the thing that the leader Yosef is not here. It's a tzara. Now, what happened later? The next stage, the shvatim v'chol echov, all the shvatim died. The shvatim died. So that means the old generation is not here. The tzaddikim of the old are not here anymore. We don't have who to look up to anymore. Says the Medrash in Parshas Bo, Parsha Yud Dalet. The Medrash says that they were poshim b'Yisrael. There were such people that were poshim, the Medrash calls them. Shoyel patronim min ha-Mitzrayim. The Mitzrayim gave them jobs. They were a part of the party. There was a party called the Egyptian, or whatever you want to call it, and they were in the party, and they got jobs from the Mitzrayim, these people. And they didn't want to leave Egypt. They wanted to stay there. And they died in the Shloshes Yemei HaFeilos, as the Medrash. The 3 days of the of the darkness, of the plague of Choshech. So that the Egyptians shouldn't see that the Jewish people were burying the dead. That's when once it was. So he says, Rabbeinu Yom, once it was V'yamas Yosef. They didn't see the previous generation. Like this, we see what tzaddikim are. People that their whole mind and thoughts and every second of the day they're in dveikis, they feel the presence of Hashem. When you see such people, you can go get jobs by the Mitzrim. What does it mean to get a job by the Mitzrim? It doesn't just mean a job and you come home and you sit and learn 8 hours after that. It means you're part, it's a way of life already, to be part of the Egyptian culture. Nowadays, in the workplace, so the minhag is that every few months you go out on a tiyul together, the whole group. You go to a restaurant together. That's what they do. It's very hard. Somebody that I know in Baltimore, so he told me that it's not so easy to work in a geisha place. And they all go together to lunch every day. They go to a restaurant to eat lunch. He stays by himself and eats his own lunch. It's not easy. You have to be strong for that. It's not Nisayan. So what happened? They got jobs by the Mitzrim, says the Medrash. And Rabbeinu Yol says, when did that happen? When the whole generation died. So then it became Verodu. The pasuk says in Bechukosa, in Parshas Bechukosa, it says, Verodu b'chem sonechem, mikemu b'chem. Sometimes there's such a thing, there's such a klala, that the enemies of the Jewish people are within mikemu b'chem. Your own are going to be your enemies. And that's what happened. And these people, they had jobs by the Mitzrim and they didn't want to leave. Not only they didn't want to leave, they were a sakana for Klal Yisrael to have them around. They would convince others to stay with them. Let's stay in Egypt. What does it mean staying in Egypt? It just means staying in that country, not in this country. It means staying in Gashmias, Chumrias, Avodah Zarah, Gilei, living that kind of life. And what do we have to go? We're going to go out to the desert. We're going to be Makabel Torah. We're going to have to keep Shabbos. So you could go shopping on Shabbos. You could go to the sea. You could go to the beach. No, we're not here for these things. We're here for Tavdunas or Lukim al. What? That's what you want. For that you want to leave this place, the Sir Abasa. So you work 12 hours a day, but it's the Sir Abasa Gashmis. Look at us, we have jobs. Maybe you'll get jobs also. Maybe you'll also join in the party and you'll get jobs. Because that's sakona to have these people. But as long as one of the Shvatim was still alive, so that I couldn't have. Now this is the Chiddush. Rabbeinu Yol was mechadish this today to find different stages in the Golus Mitzrayim in order to make all the Midrashim fit together. So he says this was a shlav, a stage in going deeper into the Golus, getting jobs by the Mitzrayim. And that couldn't have been when you see the tzaddikim of the old generation. So then they died and this happened. And then it started the Golus. Is again, Bekitzer.
Well, what about the?
Well, wait, so let's just sum it up. The four stages that we said till now. Yaakov's death brought forgetting that we're in Rishus of Hashem and we're under the Egyptians. Yosef's death brought that we're not the elite. We're not the elite anymore. The Shvatim's death brought that we can go get jobs by them. That's 3.
Kolador.
Yaakov, Yosef, then the Shvatim.
Kolador.
And then Vichador. Once the old door, at least so this is on another stage, the 4th, that when the old door was still even not the Shvatim. But mom is to work, you can't, because not only the Shvatim weren't here, The Shvatim weren't here, but still those that saw the Shvatim, those that lived with them were here. So it's also, you don't go becoming part of the Egyptian nation. Once they died, then they started getting involved with the Egyptians, and then they said, become slaves. But nah, but the slavery could be, it wasn't so bitter, it was work, but okay, but they started what they eat. Then it came a fifth time, which was terrible, terrible. And it came towards the end, the last 30 years. They could have waited. Of course, it's not so easy to wait 30 years, but it's close to then. Came these Bnei Efraim, and they said, finished, it's the end. We're going out. Says Rabbeinu Yah, the rest of the Jewish people didn't do anything. So what were they? And everybody was punished to work hard, bitter, for the last 30 years. So he says the rest of the Jewish people, they must have been, even though they didn't run out, but they were standing on the side and watching. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they'll be successful. And maybe they're right. And this whole thing was very wrong. Because there was a gzeira in the Torah. Yadua teda ki ger yiyazarcha v'eretz lo lahem v'avod minus ha'maba me'es shana. So we have to bend ourselves down to Hashem's gzeira. We know this is what Hashem wants, that we should suffer 400 years or 210 years. We can't on our own change that. This is a terrible thought. This is close to apikourses. This thought, Hashem has a certain plan, and we're going to make our own plan. What do you mean? Who are you? Who are you to make a plan? They got up and they ran out. But this is not Hashem's plan. This is not what Hashem wants, and you know that. And that's already has to do with apikourses, and that's already terrible. Everybody else also started thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe they'll be successful. What do you mean maybe they'll be successful? To go against Hashem's plan could be successful. Right. So they suffered 30 years of bitter slavery. And now we understand all the 5 zmanim. And that's a lesson in life in general. And a person, you might think it's an old story of the Bnei Efraim, it's in some medrash, some obscure medrash, it says, but this is in everyday life. A person sees Hashem is running his life in a certain way, so you have to accept that and be Oved Hashem in the way, the place where Hashem put you. And then, instead, the Yetzer Hara makes a person think, if I would have had parents that were like that one's parents, and if I would have been born to a Rosh Yeshiva in his house, and if I would have been in a yeshiva where they were friendly, and I could come in and find a place to sit, and find a place in the dining room to eat, and they'd be nice to me, and they would tell me that you're supposed to learn like this and like that. Ooh, then I would have become a Talmud Chacham. Well, now I went to a yeshiva where nobody was friendly. I didn't have a place where to sit. And I had to go find friends in some crazy place and waste my time. Because of that, I didn't become the God. I didn't steig. No! That's wrong. Hashem put you there, so you're supposed to be there. And that's where you're going to grow. And not try to change Hashem's plan. And that's what happened in the Dor HaAchron. This is what I'm talking is about an individual's life. But this is a general idea, and it happened in the Dor HaAchron. There came a group. Today. Dor HaAchron is our, let's call it the last 80 years, let's say. That what?
We have 22 seconds.
The Jewish people were in Golus, and they made a Zionist movement, and we're going to change Hashem's plan. You can't change Hashem's plan. And that's why we've been suffering so many deaths from the surroundings. Baruch Hashem, that Hashem is watching over us, that the Klal Yisrael